Good afternoon, everybody. Hi. My name is George Walker from NetDimensions, and I'm here to talk to you about big data, analytics, and how that can help you and your company be more profitable, more effective, and perform better in the future. And I'm going to do that by helping you to do something that shamans and prophets and wizards have been trying to do for thousands of years. And that is to see into the future, to time travel, if you like. And we're going to see how that big data and analytics engine will enable you to see into the future in time travel and make your business planning much, much more effective. So, from the beginning of the 20th century, science fiction writers have been regaling us with tales of time travel, and H.G. Wells kicked it off with the eponymous The Time Machine. It's pretty obvious what he's talking about here. And over the years, we've got used to Arnie trying to take out John Connor, Doctor Who, and Looper. Have you seen Looper? Brilliant film, where people create what's called a temporal paradox. What's a temporal paradox? This is where you go back in time and you kill your grandfather. Okay, how does that work? Or you go forward in time and you try and change the outcomes of the decisions you made in the here and now. Wouldn't you love to be able to do that? Wouldn't you be able to love to go into the future and see how your decisions work out in the here and now? Well, my favorite version of this is Back to the Future. You've seen Back to the Future? You know, the DeLorean, and there's Marty, and there's Doc Brown. It says, Marty, I need 1.5 gigavolts to charge up the flux capacitor to get the time relays to be working. And then they get the DeLorean going at about 88 miles an hour, and bang, it's in the future. Now, that would be pretty handy, wouldn't it? Well, just stay with me for a minute, because what actually happens is the bad guy, Biff, finds out about temporal paradox, and he nicks the DeLorean, and he goes into the very far, 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 far future, and he gets as far as, believe it or not, 2015, which is really handy for me because it makes everything I'm saying just tie together beautifully, doesn't it? And he gets to 2015, and he finds a sports almanac. Stay with me, because sports almanac is big data, okay? The sports almanac tells him about who won all the baseball matches, the hockey, the horse racing, and he realizes, although he's slightly short of brain cells, that if he takes that and goes back into the very, very, very far past, he can meet his old self and bet on the outcomes. So he gets to meet his old self, and he says, in the worst Hollywood old man accent you've ever heard, he says, "You see this book? This book tells the future. If you use that, you can win." So young Biff promptly bets on the future and makes a fortune. Isn't that great? How would you like to have your own DeLorean and a sports almanac? I have one with me here. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at how having your own DeLorean and having your own sports almanac enables you to see into the future using data analytics and big data. Well, let's see how that works, shall we? First of all, big data. What is big data? Well, Wikipedia, although it's sometimes not very precise, is pretty good at defining some of these things. Big data is extremely large data sets that may be analyzed computationally to reveal patterns. And those patterns and those trends are the things that we're looking for. What we want to do is to use that data to take ourselves into the future with confidence, making decisions that really work. And how are we going to do that? We're going to use that using an analytics data engine. What analytics data engines do is it takes that massive data from the sports almanac, turns it into information that you can use to make decisions that you can rely on and be far more confident that in the future your business is going to improve. So we're going to take big data, put it in an analytics engine, and look for business improvement. But at the same time, what we're going to do is make HR and L&D the center of the corporate momentum that enables this business improvement to take place. Okay, let's just make sure that we have the pathway fixed in our head. We take big data. This might be from many sources. It might be just from your L&D system to start with, but eventually we're going to add in finance, HR, and all the other things that we need to understand where the corporate structure is going. Do the pattern analysis, turn that into information, which will give us insight into making decisions that will make our business more successful. And why would we want to do that? Well, we would want to do that because the benefits are enormous. If you if you use an analytics system to work out the data and the reporting from the past, what you find out is you're going to be twice as likely to improve your recruiting efforts, twice as likely to improve your leadership pipelines, 3 times more likely to realize cost reductions. That's quite a considerable sum. And 30% higher stock returns. You can take this to your CEO for the investment on the business case for doing analytics and take it to the bank. Because a 30% increase in stock returns is a massive, massive upside to doing something that is actually relatively simple to do. Just takes a little bit of time and investment. So how do you do it? Well, like everything, life's a journey. And if you have a DeLorean, it's a much quicker journey. So here's the maturity model that we've put together. There are lots of these across the web. You can look at Bursins and so on and so forth and see how they see the analytics maturity models panning out. But at level 1, you've got standard reporting, text-based printouts and graphs. That's pretty much where everybody is, or was. Level 2, you're getting into more interactive stuff with dashboards and charts and using KPIs to analyze how you're doing. But what you're really doing in this level here with a single data source is you're looking over your shoulder. You're not using your time machine. And what we want to be able to help you do is to get in the time machine, start using integrated data and predictive analytics, which enable you to make those decisions based on good data, good analysis, and good decision support. So let's look at some case studies. This one's my favorite, actually. This is not GTA the game. This is Grand Theft Auto in Los Angeles. So the LAPD, they had a lot of car crime, obviously, people stealing cars all over the place, and they call that Grand Theft Auto. What they did was they got a load of data, analyzed it, and instead of putting patrols in the place where the cars were currently being stolen, they worked out where the next car might be stolen. Now, how did they do that, you might ask? Well, they did, and what they found out was that they could get a 30% reduction in car crime by using analytics. That's 30% business efficiency simply by using this technology. It's massive. American Express, they were saying publicly that they believed that reporting is simply a rear view mirror. We have a DeLorean, we can carry the metaphor forward as far as you like, but if you're only looking behind you, you're not really changing the way the business works, and this is what they said. So they used 115 data points to analyze the churn rate on their customers in the future and focused on the 24% of accounts that they thought they were going to churn in the next 2 months. Guess what? 24% increase in customer retention. And we all know that it's much, much easier to retain a customer than it is to go and find a new one, because that's very expensive. So, you may have seen this film. Moneyball, Brad Pitt film. What actually happened here is that the Oakland A's got to play the New York Yankees in the Major League Baseball playoffs with a payroll 1/4. That's 25%. 25% of their opponents. That enabled them to play on the same playing field, literally, in the same market sector, get the same returns as their opponents with a 75% reduction in their manpower costs, just by using big data and analytics to work out who to buy, which is pretty powerful, I think. So let's just ask, is there anybody here who is currently using analytics to support their business? And I know there's one over there. Is there anybody here who's doing that? Okay, that's not unusual. Typically, 80% of businesses are at the left-hand side of that maturity model that I've been talking about, using static data to work out where they've been. What we're going to see is that it's actually not that hard to get in the DeLorean, drive a little further along the track, and get yourself working a bit better. In fact, between 20 and 30% of organizations are now investing in data analytics for business improvement. And they're starting to develop the roadmaps that they need to get them into the future. And there's a number of things that they have to do that. First of all, work out, because I'm an old project manager hack, I have to do this. I have to work out in my head, how do I get there? The first thing is, where? Where do you want to be? There's some crucial things here that you need to understand. Do you want to be like the LAPD and get a 30% business efficiency? Do you want to be like Amex and get better sales retention? Do you want to be like the Oakland A's and get a 25%, well no, let's say that how the figures actually work, a 75% business advantage in terms of cost over your competition? Because all of these things will play into how you set up your project. There's a number of things that you need to do. There's always, you need the technology, you need the analysts and the people who can work out these numbers, and you need to put a program together. But as I said, if you go and take those figures that you can get from anywhere on the web that show you that you get a 30% stock improvement, it's going to be pretty easy to put your business case together and get your corporate board aligned behind your project. But it is a journey. So let's have a look at where somebody started. Now this is a client of ours, and major healthcare provider. What's their big problem? Their big problem is negligence lawsuits. Okay? I don't know if you know, but the NHS are spending tens and hundreds of millions of pounds every year in negligence lawsuits. And what they wanted to find out is, if they used an analytical approach, would they be able to reduce the cost of these lawsuits simply by training their people better? What were the outcomes of each engagement with a patient that were going to improve just by getting the training right? So they started along the journey using the technology that they had, which is a great place to start because it's definitely the cheapest place. And they put all this information into Excel, did some pivot tables, and processed it on a monthly basis. And lo and behold, they started to reduce the cost of compliance and reduce the cost of the lawsuits simply by adjusting their learning to suit the business outcome that they required. They could see into the future. They saw that if they trained the people differently, they would reduce the cost of doing business. And they did that. What actually happened then was that they realized they were dealing with such masses of data that they needed a bigger tool set. So that's when you start moving up through the maturity curve and understanding how to use different technologies and to make that something that you can achieve more easily. So if you're using the NetDimensions system, we cover the maturity model for you. We're just over here, just next door if you want to talk to us about it later, but essentially we have loads of reports. We have a very good reporting engine. We can give you Excel dumps, we can give you HTML, anything that you like in terms of where you've been. So what we've done is we've created 2 levels of analytics solution to enable you to go up that maturity level. What it really means is we're giving you the DeLorean, because you can get on board with this, and this is a great starting place. If you're starting to transcend out of the situation where you're using Excel and charts and so on and so forth, this is your first step along the way. Your second step along the way is our enterprise solution. What this does is it enables you to aggregate data from across the business and possibly using external data sources. So anything that's publicly published, you can suck into an analytics engine and you can start doing the pattern analysis and reporting on it. In fact, one of the most extraordinary elements of analytics I've seen is being used by a legal firm who are looking to reduce the cost of dud insurance claims. They simply plugged in to all the public databases in the areas where they were getting a curve in terms of insurance claims, and found out who these people were, and found out through analytics that they were all working together to take the money off the insurance companies. It was fantastic. And that reduced the cost of the lawyers' fees getting set up and going to court. Fantastic result, and saved millions of pounds. Crucially, what we also provide in the middle here is a data warehouse. What's a data warehouse? It's a way of starting to aggregate data in a logical fashion. We'll have a little look at it in a moment or two. But essentially what this does for you is it takes the pain out of understanding a lot of the data and starts to create smaller data sets, smaller bytes of data, so that you can analyze it faster and easier. So you kind of go from needing a data scientist to pull this stuff in to actually a user being able to create these kind of reports. And the data warehouse makes that possible for you. Here's an example from one of our customers. They have compliance reporting problems. Any bank does. They've got compliance officers stalking the corridors, waiting to just hand out fines for millions of dollars. So what was really important to them was that their people were trained to do the deals properly, so they wouldn't have compliance issues. And doing that across all their territories across the globe, that was big data from one source, believe me. And using this approach, we managed to reduce that from something that might take 3 hours to get one report down to 30 seconds. So there's an efficiency gain there as well. So despite the fact that doing this on a screen is usually a bit tedious, I'm just going to run for about 3 minutes a live system, well, a video of a live system that shows how it works. I'll talk you through it. It just gives you an insight into how easy it is to do this, providing I've got a video. I haven't got a video. We're not going to stop and find it. Okay, this is how the video goes, all right? The video connects to the data source, and the data source is the NetDimensions talent suite. It breaks it down into a data warehouse, and then it creates what's known as semantic layers to enable a user to use that data. And then on the video, I promise you, it goes drag and drop, drag and drop, drag and drop, and creates a cross-tab report in less than 30 seconds that you can then use to analyze data on the basis of time, effort, cost, risk, and it allows you to deploy the reports across your organization on a scheduled basis if that's what you want to do. So just to recap, here we are with the features of our NetDimensions Analytics system. First of all, we have the Business Edition, which is to get you started, and the Enterprise Edition, which is the one where you get the full DeLorean, 88 miles an hour, Back to the Future. It comes pre-configured with the reports, dashboards, and these widgets are really useful things. This is about deploying reports to people who you know want to see data on a regular basis. So we use the security and the organization profiles to deliver reports to them so they pop up in their user area. Different types of user account and different types of data access. But on the enterprise version, we can start deploying this globally, single sign-on, start to use the data warehouse so you can break down the data more quickly, combine external data or corporate data, getting into a bit tech territory here with OLAP and ETL and data cubes and so on and so forth, but believe me, it's jolly good. So that's it. Back to the present. Here we are, NetDimensions. This is our analytics offering, and the enterprise version, funnily enough, just about costs a little bit more than the inflation-adjusted price a DeLorean would have cost you in the 1980s. Thank you very much.